This next story is from an anonymous viewer, so who knows who it's from. When I was a young boy, no older than 3rd or 4th grade, probably younger, I lived in a small house in Arizona. My bedroom was all the way at the end of the hall, and the door opened pretty much into the hall, if not slightly off center. I was pretty afraid of the dark, to the point where I slept with a nightlight and with the door open. One night, I remember being on edge. I've always had a terrible time falling asleep, something that bugs me to this day. Well, on this night, I wished for nothing more than to fall asleep. To this day, it's one of the few things I remember vividly. I was in my bed, sheepishly looking over my blankets. I heard it, and I felt it, before I saw it. An oppressive darkness, like a tangible, inky black mist, preceded it. The aura of dread and overwhelming fear choked the words out of my throat and petrified my body, which felt increasingly insignificant and small. But I couldn't look away from the open doorway into that foreboding hallway of writhing shadows and darkness. I heard its footsteps, or rather, its movement. It was a shuffling pattern that didn't make sense. Then, it was a heavy thump, but muffled, like a foot falling on fabric or slippers, then shuffling. I saw it. Its silhouette forever burned into my mind. It stood there in the middle of the hall for what felt like hours. My heart stopped as it began moving, and I finally made sense of it. It was covered in a robe, tattered and dark in color. And when I look where I guessed the face was, there was only hints of discolored white and gray patches, illuminated by the faintest of light. Or maybe my eyes were adjusted properly. It walked and walked and walked until it stood right in front of my doorway. A singular hand crept to the frame of the door, resting on it, and I realized it was just bone, but not quite human. Then its head dipped down, as though it was making a movement to enter my doorway, and I saw its face, or rather, what was left. It was the skull of some kind of animal, like a deer or a goat. It remained there, staring at me, hands on the doorframe for an eternity. Then, it let go of the door, crept back into the hall, facing me the entire time. We shared one last look, one that drained me of all my wits and energy, then turned around and left. That was my first time having sleep paralysis and the hallucinations associated with it. That almost sounds like a skinwalker.